Hey there, nice to meet you again. Here we are for another episode of the YouBeat Café. As always, we will try to bring you the best inputs for your past, for your career, or for drag your own business to the top. And today we got our very, very special guest to introduce you, nothing less than Miles Shackleton, directly from Toolroom. Thanks to be with us, Miles.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So today we will try to talk of several stuff. Toolroom is a big reality of the dance electronic scene. And first of all, we would like to talk a little bit about Miles because, dear friends, you need to know that Miles recently reached a new position inside the company. Real Miles, it's true?
Yes, that's right. I literally just got a new role within Toolroom as of about a month ago. So I'm now COO of the entire group of companies, which is it's an amazing opportunity. It's a job that to be honest, I've wanted for quite a few years. So yeah, I'm super proud and looking forward to where we can take the business in the next 5 years or so.
But before talking on several technical stuff, would you like to tell us a little bit about your career inside Toolroom?
Sure. Yeah, no problem. So I actually started at Toolroom many years ago. It was my first ever job after university. So what happened was I was at university and like a lot of people, I really got into music then, and I bought some really cheap decks and I was buying vinyl all the time. And what happened was I came across this track that I heard on the radio by someone called Mark Knight on a label called Toolroom. And I couldn't find it anywhere. So I was doing some research online one night and I found the webpage for Toolroom Records. And all it said was, coming soon, email us at stuart@toolroomrecords.com. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I emailed them and I said, look, I love this record. How can I buy it off you? And little did I know that they'd literally just launched the website and they were so happy that it was working that they said, look, tell us your address and we'll send you a record for free. I was like, okay, amazing. This is my address. I emailed it to them and they were like, right, that's next door. So this weird story where I actually grew up next door to Mark Knight and Stuart Knight, and my childhood bedroom actually overlooked the Toolroom, which is the kind of building that the label is born from, and hence the name. And weirdly, this random house music track was made just yards from my window. So it's a completely weird coincidence, absolutely mad. And I got a job just from making friends with them. And that was back in 2004. And I stayed there for a little while. And then I moved to a subsidiary of Universal Music, which is one of the majors in the music industry, and worked my way up there to run kind of campaigns for dance music, kind of more commercial stuff. And then I left the industry for some time, worked in education and other areas. And then I came back to Toolroom in 2013 as the label's first brand manager. And then I've basically worked my way up from brand manager to COO in exactly 10 years. And in that time, I've worked really hard on defining the Toolroom brand, building our online audience. I established the Toolroom Academy, which is the label's educational division. And then, yeah, as I said, just been appointed COO. So it's been a mad journey over 10 years and yeah, loved every minute.
It's so interesting also to listening to other paths, especially for person, for example, like me, who are still working to reach a different position. Anyway, just to remember us about your journey, you talked about the Toolroom Academy, but especially for the Academy and for the Toolroom family in general, the 2023 was a special year because you recently announced you were the first selling record label on Beatport about obviously house and tech house music. That is your DNA, literally. Congrats also for this. and I really would like to know more about this result, because I saw you specified more times about this DNA return.
Mm.
And I really
Yeah,
would like to understand more why you are going to specify these.
yeah, great question. So I think the reason for that is we turned as a label, we turned 20 this year. And when you reach those birthdays, it's a good opportunity to really reflect on where you are, where you sit, and I guess what your purpose is, because you can sometimes lose sight of why you work in the music industry or why your company exists when you're just working so hard doing the thing. And as I say, birthdays give you a chance to kind of reflect, I think. And we went on this journey, I guess, in the years leading up to 2023, where we did hit the commercial button a bit harder than we would normally. So during the pandemic, for example, we switched our music policy to be more streaming, radio friendly, because there were no clubs. So we had to adapt. And actually that worked well financially for us, even though obviously it was a horrendous time for all involved. But we had our best year financially. But what we felt was we were losing sight a bit of the kind of core thing that the reason why people love Toolroom so much. And I think that the reason why the label was set up was always to be that label that DJs reached for when the party was flagging a bit, and you put on a Toolroom record and then you're back in the game, right? That's the point of Toolroom. That's why Mark and Stuart set it up. That's the kind of music we all basically grew up listening to and love. So this year was about maybe reconnecting with that purpose and that mission, to really get that club focus back, to get back to the DNA, the real meaning of what Toolroom is as a brand and as a record label. And I think that's why our fans love us, is because of that. And so pleasingly, I think the end result of that year and a half of strategy work has led to the Beatport position of being number one label in house and tech house, that's our sound, that's what we love. So to be number one in the world at that, I think is a testament to what the team have achieved musically in that repositioning. And I can see the release schedule for the next 6 months, and it's probably even better in my opinion. So yeah, lots of exciting tracks to come as well.
No, I'm happy to hear it, because I know so much how hard it was after the pandemic to restart again in a different way, because we made it as well as YouBeat in our staffs, and we understand completely. And so the challenge has won with these choices. So congrats again. But I would like to touch also this topic in the way you worked to the academy. For example, I saw you started a special side of the Toolroom Academy and the Toolroom family. It was We Are Listening. That is a platform to support the female and non-binary artists. So it's both important for the music side. So you're gonna give these persons the imprint of Toolroom too, but obviously you are working on a problem that is social and not in the music especially. And I really would like to know how it's going with this project, and especially on the music side, if there are some interesting projects you can suggest us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, We Are Listening, as you say, is a platform within Toolroom Academy, where our aim is to help mentor and find and encourage talent in specifically amongst female and non-binary music producers. The idea came from a former colleague of ours, Victoria Smith, who used to be the community manager at Toolroom. She's now gone on to a career in nursing, which we're really proud of her for doing, but she was a really key part of our business. She worked for us 5 or 6 years. And she was passionate about us doing more work to address the imbalance in terms of gender in electronic music. We just simply weren't releasing enough music from women. And one of the main reasons for that was we weren't receiving enough demos from women. So we decided several years ago, I think it was 2017, on International Women's Day, rather than just doing a social media post saying, you know, we should do more for women's equality, which is an important thing to do. We wanted to go a bit further than that and actually do something practical, because I think Toolroom, at our best, we're practical people. We like to help, maybe even a smaller amount, but help them in a really true, meaningful way. So we said, we put out the call online to say, any female identifying producers out there, send us your demos. We'll give you A&R feedback for all of them. And we got so many demos. It was amazing. We got like 80 demos in something like 3 days, which made me think there's this talent out there that wants to get signed, but there's obviously a barrier, invisible or visible, I don't know, but there's a barrier that's stopping them sending us music. So we decided to go further and create a whole activation within Toolroom Academy called We Are Listening, where we would really get hands-on and help mentor and develop these women. And that took the form of a number of events here at HQ, where we put free events on and we invite women to come learn about music production, learn about marketing, social media, learn about the business. Even if you've never made music, or you have made music, or if you just DJ or you never DJed, you're welcome to come and learn about it. And we've done that and had really successful events. We've had big artists come and help, you know, people like Hannah Wants. We've had people from Radio 1. We've had amazing female artists come and support. And the great thing about it is it's finding talent genuinely. We've found some amazing talent. To give you one great example, because you asked for one, we've got an artist called Estelle on Toolroom, who we met through We Are Listening. And she's now fully signed to Toolroom management, and she's our like #1 performing artist this year. So she's had an overall Beatport #1. She's streaming literally tens of millions on Spotify. She's playing Elro at Halloween. She's got international gigs. She's on a BBC 3 documentary coming up here in the UK. So she's like, for me, the shining example of finding this amazing talent that sits there. And I think labels like us, of our size and our scale, have a responsibility to do more to try and help find these, you know, these women, these female producers, help mentor them and help bring them through into the scene. So it's something I'm really proud of. We've got a great team that puts it together. We've now got Carly, who actually we met her through a We Are Listening event. She now works for us. She now runs the Toolroom Academy. So we've actually employed people from the scheme as well. So it's fantastic. Yeah, it's a big part of the label, and we're super proud of it.
No, I'm so happy to hear it, especially because if someone will be listening, should know that you need to try. There's people outside who can help you, even if there are several barriers, but the barriers are going low as well every day, day by day. We can reach it without barriers. So in this way, I would like to ask you, both for all genders in this way, we are in a specific technological era where several platforms, products are very helping DJs, or producers, or performers. So this is a question for both your experience on the label side and on the educational side. I really would like to understand your opinion about the evolution of technology for producing and DJ, obviously not in a technical way, but of the way it's easy for more people to reach these results, or if it's hard for several reasons.
It's a really interesting one, that. Well, overall, I'm kind of really positive and optimistic about it. That's kind of my basic stance. When it comes to DJing, I kind of think that the new technology yeah, you could argue it makes things easier. I mean, I myself still buy vinyl, and I can be a bit purist in my taste outside of my work. Um, but no, I mean, I think that yes, the technology may make it technically easier for people to learn, but I actually don't think that argument really exists anymore. I think we're kind of, I feel like we've got to the point where um, whether or not a set is done on high-end technology or not, the key thing is that the people listening in the crowd are having a good time, and that's really all that matters. They don't really care. They don't care how it's being, what platform or what technology is being used. They just want to go there, get their release, find their escape. That's our job, is to provide that for people. I think a more interesting question around DJ technology is not what technology people are using. It's like, why are people getting gigs? I think that's always the thing I'm interested in, is like, with this kind of proliferation of the number of DJs out there and who's actually getting gigs, why do some people get gigs and not others? And that's something that I feel in the scene is I'm a bit unsure at the moment, because I with Toolroom, we're running a campaign at the moment called Where Music Matters. What we're saying is, it's what should really count is the music and the people that I think make the music. And what I find uncomfortable is when you get people getting gigs, high profile gigs, and perhaps they've just done that because they're optimizing social media or they're building a fan base without having done the authentic, credible thing, in my opinion, of going through the scene, making music, contributing that way. So I think there's a really interesting discussion in that space. And you can probably tell what side I sit on there. In terms of production, again, I think technology is massively democratizing access to making music. And I also think that is a very, very good thing. I think sometimes I've been to a lot of panels in conferences and dance music, where you do see people complaining about the number of tracks being released because more people can make music, and you see them talking about maybe a saturation. There's just too much content out there. I mean, I personally disagree with that. Having sort of set up the academy and seen the joy that people have when they make music, I think that's the key thing. It doesn't matter if you release a track and 5 people stream it. Like, I think what matters is you've enjoyed that creative process and you've had that for yourself. And the other thing I'd say with production and technology is where you're seeing, more increasingly AI coming into it. And you could argue with the prevalence of samples and templates making things easier. I still think that they're generally like idea creation tools, as opposed to anything deeper than that. I think people are making music now for fun, and they're making music in a different way, perhaps using samples and perhaps using a bit of AI. But I think it's just to get ideas going, and that can only be a good thing. So yeah, I think it's easy, I think, to kind of worry and catastrophize when you talk about technology and music. But as someone who talks to aspiring producers every day via the Toolroom Academy, I honestly think, as an optimist, it's creating more opportunity for people to be creative. It's giving an opportunity for people to get their ideas out of their head onto the screen, and just do what they love easier, more accessibly, more cheaply. So yeah, I think overall I'm pretty optimistic about it all.
No, clear. I understand your point, and obviously we are still working on the AI side. I think it's extremely fresh argument to talk more about it. No, but still working on the same concept. I really would like to ask you about the differences of accessible to everyone. If the Toolroom Academy is accessible to everyone, or there is several criteria you evaluate for several artists, both of the side, for we are listening.
Well, it is accessible to anyone. We have different courses depending on where you're at. So if you're a complete beginner, you've never opened Ableton or Logic or whatever DAW you use, we do have our foundation courses that take you from day one. I'd say what we're probably best known for and our sweet spot is for people that have made a start in music production, but maybe can't finish tracks, or maybe they're making tracks that don't have an identity and don't get signed. That's the bit where we, I think, dominate in house music education, because we know exactly how to fix that for people, and we've got a pretty good track record of doing so. But the only kind of barrier really in all of our educational courses would be price. We have a number of products that go up in terms of price range, but we're pretty competitively priced as well. But other than that, because of their online nature, you can study from anywhere in the world. We have students literally from I think over 40 countries. We've had people from random islands in the Pacific, like yeah. It's a beautiful thing, people from China. And I think that one of the best things that we take from the courses, and the thing that I think is my purpose, what I love, is when you help people find those creative connections. Because making house music can be quite a lonely thing. Like if you're, I don't know, in a group of friends, probably only one of you might be obsessed with making house music. And it might be hard these days in the online era to go to a record shop or whatever and meet someone. That doesn't happen so much these days. So the beauty of the Toolroom Academy is we're breaking down that barrier for people to meet each other. And we've now got classmates who collaborate together or have set up labels together, or club nights, people that met from different parts of the world and collaborating on new music. So it's in terms of accessibility, I think we're bringing communities together. And I think in terms of diversity, what we're doing with We Are Listening is going some small way to addressing the gender imbalance, which still needs fixing, I think.
Okay, so we're still talking about this topic. I really would like to ask you another kind of question for the education, and both for the person who are going to try to reach Toolroom and manage something with Toolroom. For example, we talked about the technical side, so DJing and producing. But what do you think about the business side for the people who are going to reach, or for example, a business position inside Toolroom, or to sign a track to Toolroom?
So in terms of advice for how they might achieve that. So in terms of getting signed to Toolroom, I mean, first of all, what I always say to people is genuinely, it's about the music first. So we have signed and released artists with 0 followers online, just because we fell in love with the music. We just put out a campaign called Where Music Matters, and that gives you an idea of what we value. So I want to kind of reassure people that, and I'm sure it's the same for all the bigger electronic music labels out there that have that credibility and longevity. We're looking for great music. In terms of what we're looking for kind of more long-term signings, like where you see artists regularly DJ for Toolroom events or put out 3 or 4 key releases on our label, and who we feature across our channels. I guess a good way to look at it is we're really looking for artists, and artists are people that, for me, have a unique sense of who they are, what they stand for, a sense of style, aesthetic, a sense of vision, people that are memorable, people that are an audience can latch onto and understand. And there's loads of different ways of executing that kind of stuff. You don't have to be hugely extrovert. You can do it in an introvert way. But the point is, we love working with artists who have that vision and complete sense of understanding of who they are and what they stand for. And that should be linked to their music, but they should also have another edge to them as well. I think that's really key. In terms of trying to give advice to people looking to break into the music industry behind the scenes, I always say to people, look at your skill development. And a good bit of advice is to make your skills T-shaped. And what that means is, if you take a T like that, and you first of all look at the stalk there,
Okay.
that's kind of your deep skills. So, for example, if you come into the music industry with a really specific skill set, for example, being an expert in paid media, like being an expert in setting up social media ads, that's a really helpful thing and something you can get your foot in the door by having a really specific skill. And you get up the ladder quicker in that area because you are the go-to person for that. Once you've achieved that, then you go a bit wider. And maybe you, in that example, think about other marketing things you could understand, campaigns, social media, creative. And that's when you get more management positions because you've got a more broad skill base as well. So it's a good way of framing what you bring to a company, to think about your skill being T-shaped. And that's something that I did personally in my career. I started off being really good at press, getting press for people. And then I gradually became more interested in brand and marketing. And then I ended up managing that team. So it's a good way of getting up the ladder, to think of it as a T-shape.
Okay, so another question I really would like to ask you, still working on the topic we are starting from the beginning. So the DNA of Toolroom, on both sides, the academy and the label side. We saw that, for example, you pushed so hard that this, I don't know, dogma, as we can call it in this way, also on the academy side. So it's a really straight way for Toolroom. But so do you never, are you never taught, or do you never try to work to other subgenres of the same category? I don't know, Latin house is still climbing the market, but I'm pretty sure to hear some sounds from this also on Toolroom, but not a full Latin house track.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So, like, I guess one thing we've learned over the years is we're at our best as a record label and an academy when we don't chase trends or kind of go too broad in our sound. There was a period in our history, actually, when I joined in 2013, I remember we had 1 2-week period where we released a Hardwell record and then a Dusky record, and they were both great tracks, but you kind of, the space between them musically was too broad to sort of really build a loyal following of fans, because nobody really passionately loves both of those. Like you tend to like be one or the other, you know, to be kind of crude about music. People tend to be in tribes and follow certain sounds. And I think the trick for us was to stay in our lane musically, for it to be broad enough that commercially it makes sense to run things on the scale that we do with 20-25 people here at the business, but also meaningful enough and enough of an identifiable sound to get that fandom of people that love you and wear your t-shirt and go to your gigs and pre-save your music. And that's something it's that the A&R team here, Mark especially, balances really cleverly to get the Toolroom sound, house, tech house, bit of techno, really pure, but also commercially viable enough to run at scale. And I think he does that successfully. And what that means is we have a really devoted fan base that are really loyal to us. And to your point earlier about, why we're number one on Beatport at the moment, and it's something I should have mentioned, is there's a short-term thing that we kind of nailed our sound this year, but there's also a longer-term thing. if you look at the charts, we're generally top 3, top 5 every 6 months and have been for years. And the reason for that is because our fans are so loyal and so consistent in supporting us. And that's something that I think at Toolroom we have worked really hard to achieve. And then how that flows into the academy is we're known for a sound, we're the world's best at that sound, and we only teach that. We don't try and teach on a course a bit of drum and bass and a bit of trance and a bit of EDM and a bit of deep house. We are the Toolroom sound. If you want to learn that, come to us. We're the best in the world, and that's it. So that's how it all ties together.
Just one last talk before we have just a few minutes before closing this conversation. I really would like to ask you more about Mark Knight and his role of A&R. Just a quick moment for both for Toolroom and both for the Toolroom Academy too, obviously.
Yeah, well, he's crucial. I mean, obviously he founded the label with his brother Stuart. The kind of separation of work was always Mark on the creative side, Stuart on the business side. Mark is a relentless person. His energy is unmatched. I've never known anyone that works as hard. And I think one of the reasons he's so respected here at the label is he could have a series of gigs Friday to Sunday, but he'll still be in the office Monday morning making everyone a cup of tea at 9 a.m. And staff buy into that 100% because you can't help but respect it. His role is, as A&R, and he's still very much hands-on in that, by the way. He's literally right now holding an A&R meeting in the boardroom. And I think his input as a producer and DJ is that he knows exactly what works on the floor. He has a really granular, razor-sharp analysis of sound choice, creative decisions within tracks. So, he's the person I think that's kept the quality threshold there. And our job is to make that happen for him, and then bring the records to market in the best possible way so they get listened to by the most people.
Clear. Thank you so much also for this interesting topic, this piece of Mark Knight's story, because I had the opportunity to meet you and Mark too last April at IMS, and really would like to meet you soon also for see another time Mark play because we had so much fun in that pool. And I really would like to thank you, say congrats again to you, Toolroom, Mark Knight and Toolroom Academy for all of your work, but unfortunately we need to close this conversation. Thanks to all the people who followed us today, and we are really proud to brought Miles Shackleton from Toolroom here in the YouBeat Café, so stay tuned for the next one. Hi Miles, see you soon.
Thanks Rudy, cheers.
Thanks so much.